Hello, this is Robin Reynolds from the studios of Ink and Alchemy in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Today we'll be taking a quick run through the creation of a journal spread called Sit Still, Read Books. You can see here a variety of supplies and media that I've used to create this journal spread, but I don't think the exact supplies are important at all. I think this process is more about just being in the moment and really working on the process, not the output. You'll see that I start here with a graphite pencil, and I'm basically writing words, but I'm scribbling those. I am making them intentionally illegible because this allows me to feel comfortable and safe sharing my work and writing whatever it is that I want or need to write. There will be bits of this video during which I speed up pieces of the process just for time's sake. But I take my time as I'm doing this work. I allow it to come to me sort of intuitively. I never have a plan for my journals, and I enjoy the outcome being organic and messy, grungy. That's really what I'm looking for when I'm creating journals. Next, I use some Bombay India ink. The color is aqua. I find that by adding just a little white gesso, that helps to really add interest to the India ink and create a variation of colors on the page. I'm not planning anything here. I'm simply moving paint around, creating a background, creating shapes, and really just removing the white space from the pages. One thing I love about using old books for my journals is that you're never really faced with that blank white page. Usually there is text or pictures, which kind of provides a background and some place to start. You can see with this that I'm working quickly. I've sped up the video a bit, but oftentimes I take a piece of parchment paper or perhaps the pages of another journal and dab off and blot off some of the extra paint. I added just a moment ago another color of paint, and I'm just moving that around with the brush, really just looking for pleasing patterns and a layering effect that gives the page some depth. I'm now using some black gesso, really just in place of black paint because this one was more easily within reach. I'm using a broad palette knife and bits of water just to make that more fluid and really spread that around to add depth and contrast to the page. I continue in this way, really just moving the paint around, using water to help shape that and move it. You can see that the paint, the gesso, the water, they all mix together on the page. And one thing that I do with nearly every spread that I ever make is I use my fingers. I almost feel like I'm really not painting if I don't have paint all over my hands and on my fingers. It's really just a visceral way for me to engage with the artwork. Which is sometimes amusing on Monday morning when I have to go into the office. I'm now looking for ways to add texture and interest and contrast to the page. I just grabbed a handful of washi tape, settled on this one, which is red and pink and various lines throughout it. I like it because it's bright, it's a contrast. I basically just rip it into shreds and place it almost randomly on the page. Washi tape often needs just a little more glue to keep it down, but this particular tape seemed to be pretty secure, and so I did not do that. I'm now just using a piece of deli paper or parchment paper, regular Martha Stewart paint that I got on clearance somewhere years ago, and just adding yet one more layer to this spread. More gesso. You could use white paint for that. I just happen to have some gesso in an old grungy mason jar, which pleases me greatly. Spreading that around with my fingers, and I don't want to make it too uniform. I like the pieces that remain unmixed. I like the cloudiness of it. I'm now taking a wooden dowel and again continuing to write. You'll see that words and scribbling play a huge part in every one of my journal pages. Sometimes I use the wrong end of a paintbrush for this, sometimes pen, paint. I will write with any medium available. I am now, again, just repeating over and over again this layering process, really just hiding each layer as we move along. I often incorporate collage into my artwork. This is just a snippet from a magazine or a paper that I'm gluing down onto the page. And I've added a similar version to the left side of the spread. Often I stand back and just take a look at how things are developing, looking to see if there is some balance to the page. I am always on the lookout for phrases, words, interesting tidbits of poetry. I haunt consignment shops and thrift stores and just love old books. And so you'll see that almost every piece of art that I make includes some sort of words glued onto the page or collaged onto the page. I also love the sort of messy, organic feel of dripping paint and dripping ink. And so you'll see that I'm adding water here just to kind of get that loose effect with this green ink. For the rest of the video, I have sped up or doubled the video speed just to get us to the end of this piece of work. I love working in my studio. I love the peace and quiet and the contemplative nature of this. And as you can see, I use other tiny journals and pieces of paper as I'm going to begin populating the backgrounds for other pieces of work. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you again soon at Ink and Alchemy. Bye-bye.